können schon was machen, wenn wir es anmachen, dann geht's hier. Gut.
Ja, einen wunderschönen guten Morgen.
Good morning,
Herzlich willkommen.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
So. Ja, schön, dass Sie alle da sind.
It's good you're all here. Thank you for taking up our invitation on such short notice and for joining us here in Wolfsburg.
Vor 2 Wochen in unserem
2 weeks ago,
Pressegespräch
in our first press meeting,
für immer dann,
we had already announced that whenever there's something that we think should be reported about, we'll mean that we're going to organize a short notice event and a press conference. As you know, yesterday the Supervisory Board has met, and we had also used the opportunity to arrange for an information event here today, because we wanted to share with you the latest findings of our work. Now, what we're going to do in a moment will happen in 2 thematic blocks. First of all, the chairman of the Supervisory Board, Hans-Dieter Pötsch, will talk about the current state of play in terms of clarification or investigating the issues. And then chairman of the board, Matthias Müller, will talk about customer solutions, for one thing, but also will talk about the new orientation of the company, Volkswagen. We have always said that we will be sharing with you information straight from the horse's mouth, and this is how we are going to start. And you get a first-hand account from Mr. Pötsch, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bode, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure I'm not giving away any secrets when I say that the past 2.5 months was something that no one has ever experienced at the Volkswagen Group. That holds true for all of us, the Supervisory Board, the Board of Management, and the employees. No one here could have imagined that our company, a company where so many people give their best day after day, a company that is a source of pride to so many here in Wolfsburg and at the sites all over the world, could end up in a situation like the one we've been experiencing since the end of September. We're all not only deeply shocked by the events surrounding the emissions issue, but these events have also put the group in a very difficult situation. Mr. Müller and I would like to update you today on where we stand with regards to overcoming this crisis, what steps we have already taken, and how the Volkswagen Group is driving its renewal forward. Ladies and gentlemen, Volkswagen relies on the trust of its customers. Our customers not only expect to travel from A to B safely, comfortably, and efficiently in one of our vehicles, they also, quite rightly, expect that the emissions produced by the vehicle on their journey do not exceed the thresholds set. And as it turned out, that has not always been the case for our vehicles. We deeply regret this. And I'm not only speaking on behalf of Mr. Müller and myself, but also on behalf of the entire company. As a result, we have lost trust, the trust of our customers, investors and employees, as well as the trust of politicians and the public. Our most important task and our biggest challenge now is to win back that trust. That is why we must continue to act with credibility and determination so that we can deal rigorously with the mistakes of the past and make sure something like this never happens again. We owe that, not least to our customers. At the same time, we must protect our operational business and defend our strong market position. Now, given the circumstances, that is not an easy task, but we are optimistic we can make it with our team. And in all these efforts, we must also safeguard the group's future success. On the one hand, in financial terms, because the fallout from the crisis will probably be considerable, and on the other, we must systematically continue with the ongoing change process to prepare Volkswagen for the upheavals faced by our industry. In a nutshell, and this much is certain, we are in the midst of one of the greatest tests in the history of the group. It will take an enormous effort on the part of everyone to pass this test, and we are all ready to play our part. It goes without saying that the Supervisory Board, at times like these, is supporting the Board of Management even more closely in its work. Moreover, the Supervisory Board has undertaken many initiatives of its own in recent weeks to take the process of clarification and realignment within the Volkswagen Group swiftly forward. First of all, I would like to mention the new management structure, which we signed off on September 25th. The Volkswagen Group will be decentralized to a greater extent in future. It will be more efficient, faster and more dynamic, so that the group will be able to leverage its enormous potential even more effectively. We've also speeded up staff reorganization in the group. Without this realignment, the changes we envisage would not work properly. We have not only recruited new, renowned experts from outside the company, but have also given some of the best minds from within our group new responsibilities. There are 6 new members in the Board of Management since early 2015. That shows how thorough this new realignment is. In addition, there are new top positions. Mr. Müller will give you the details later on. In addition, the Supervisory Board has engaged to a greater degree in dialogue with our stakeholders. Now, in particular, we need support and goodwill from outside our company just as urgently as we need the commitment of all those in a position of responsibility within the group. We are soliciting support wherever possible. Ladies and gentlemen, what's important is that the Volkswagen Group is fully able to act in these very turbulent times. This company has a very solid foundation and many strengths that we can build on for the future. How and when we rise to those challenges is primarily, but not entirely, up to us. This also applies to the way we approach the clarification of the emissions issue. We want, and indeed we must understand exactly how this could happen. That is the only way we can prevent anything like this from ever happening again. We have made a good deal of progress in this regard in recent weeks, and I would like to bring you up to date on what we have achieved so far. Allow me to recap. We are dealing with 2 very different issues. The first concerns up to 11 million of our diesel vehicles, which are fitted with a software program that systematically influenced the measurement of nitrogen oxide emissions. The second issue of recent weeks relates to CO2 emissions and the associated fuel consumption levels. During the critical review of our processes as a result of the NOx issue, information from an internal source drew attention to implausibilities in CO2 certification. This was immediately and proactively communicated on November 3rd. At that time, we announced that around 800,000 vehicles could possibly be affected. We were concerned that the certification of these vehicles may have been deliberately based on incorrect emission data. Since then, as we announced yesterday, it became apparent that this assumption was wrong. The suspicion of unlawful changes in fuel consumption data for current production vehicles has not been confirmed. Slight deviations were only found for a very small number of models, which will now be adjusted in the course of normal processes. That is good news for our customers and for the company. I will come back to this point in more detail in a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a clearly defined approach and goal for clarifying all aspects. Everything must be put on the table and nothing will be swept under the carpet. That means there must be a comprehensive analysis of what happened. So all the relevant processes from the source to the present day must be fully traced and analyzed. It is essential that these investigations are absolutely independent. That applies to the internal specialists we have entrusted with this task. Their mission is to investigate in all directions, regardless of personal reputation and with no taboos. Obviously, the same applies to the external specialists we have retained. In all our efforts, we are cooperating fully with the relevant authorities. We have repeatedly emphasized, and I'm doing so again today, that we are relentlessly searching for those responsible for what happened. And you may rest assured that we will bring these persons to account. It is precisely because we are dealing with people and because exhaustive clarification is so important for the future of the company that diligence is absolutely imperative. Even though it is sometimes difficult for you and for us to remain patient, diligence takes precedence over speed. We're looking for definitive answers to the following questions. Exactly what happened and when? We must trace the processes and the decision-making paths. Were regulations or laws broken? And if so, which ones? To what extent did our internal processes encourage possible infringements? We expect this to give us an insight above all into where we need to make improvements. Who is responsible for the misconduct? This is not only about direct responsibility, but also about overall responsibility. And finally, how do we make sure that nothing like this ever happens again in the Volkswagen Group? Looking to the future, that is definitely the most important question. We have structured the clarification process in such a way that we can provide a reliable answer to each of these questions. As you're aware, the work on clarifying these issues is being monitored by a Supervisory Board Special Committee chaired by Dr. Wolfgang Porsche. Since it was inaugurated on October 27th, the committee has met 5 times, so it closely follows the work of the investigators. There are 2 parallel threads to the investigations themselves. As mandated by the Supervisory Board and the Board of Management, internal auditing is focusing on examining the relevant processes, on reporting and control systems, and on the accompanying infrastructure. Internal auditing is making its entire findings available to the experts at Jones Day. This internationally renowned law firm, commissioned by the Supervisory Board to fully clarify the matter and identify those responsible, is following the second thread. This includes the forensic investigations. The audit firm Deloitte is providing operational support for Jones Day. In total, some 450 internal and external experts are involved in the investigations. The sheer number is an indication that we are taking this very seriously and are seeking conclusive results as quickly as possible. Both teams of investigators are working independently of each other. That is fundamental to objective clarification, something we as a company are very keen to achieve. even if some of the findings could prove painful. To ensure that internal auditing operates independently and is fully functional, we have brought together the best experts from various units and brands within the group and formed a task force with a predefined, clear mission of a specific duration. When their work is completed, the members of the task force will return to their usual duties. Incidentally, that also applies for the head of this mission, Markus Ebel, from Porsche AG, who has been assigned to Volkswagen for the duration of this mission. In this way, we can ensure that no personal interdependencies or misguided considerations obstruct clarification or distort the findings. Incidentally, a representative of Jones Day is also a member of the internal task force, a further guarantee for the independence of that task force investigations. All in all, we believe the dual structure of the investigations guarantees maximum objectivity, transparency, and quality of results. There are two different scopes to the internal and external investigations. That is why the amount of time they need for their work differs. The analysis of the relevant processes and systems conducted by internal auditing will be concluded soon. The work being undertaken by Jones Day, on the other hand, will continue well into next year. That is, as we will explain in a moment, partly due to the fact that the external investigators have to sift through a gigantic volume of data. It is also explained by the fact that we also need to clarify who is legally responsible for what happened. So this investigation must not only be plausible and consistent, it must also stand up to scrutiny in court. We plan to report on the status of the investigation at the annual General Meeting on April 21st, 2016. But we would like to give you some initial information today and share the findings made so far with you. Before we do that, though, I trust you will understand that we cannot and will not be commenting on the people involved. We can only do that once the findings are absolutely watertight. Until such time, these people will be innocent until proven guilty. After all, we live in a state of law. In principle, what may be called the essence of what we have found out so far is that the NOx issue is the result of the interaction of three factors. First, individual misconduct and personal failures on the part of individual employees in one area of our company. A factor that can at best be contained, but can never be entirely eliminated in a group the size of Volkswagen. Second, flaws in some of our own processes. And third, an attitude in some units of the company that tolerated breaches of rules. That is apparently what happened in this case. And I freely admit that is the factor we all find the most difficult to accept. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make one comment before I look at the findings of the internal audit in more detail. We widened the scope of the investigation in addition to the NOx issue once we found indications of irregularities in the CO2 certification process. Now that the CO2 issue has largely been concluded, we can once again concentrate fully on the nitrogen oxide issue. The areas investigated by internal auditing can be roughly divided into three clusters. First, processes, second, reporting and control systems, and third, infrastructure. The objective when analyzing the processes was to establish the exact sequence of events, or, in other words, to answer the question, what happened when? Today, we know that procedural problems encouraged misconduct. This applies, for example, to the test and approval processes for our engine control units. They were not suitable for preventing the use of the software in question. Internal Audit has proposed specific remedial measures to remove these flaws. They focus on structuring processes more clearly and systemizing them better. For example, in future, the belt and braces principle will be strictly applied to the development of engine control units. At the same time, the committees responsible for the approval of such software will be reorganized with stricter and binding competencies and responsibilities. Even though we cannot prevent misconduct on the part of individual employees once and for all, in future it will be very difficult to bypass our processes. The second area involves exposing deficits in reporting and control systems and identifying breaches of existing rules. Here too, there were undoubtedly shortcomings. This was mainly due to the lack of a concrete definition of responsibilities. Here, we must and will tighten things up. The internal audit also uncovered shortcomings at some points in our infrastructure. For instance, some of our IT systems are inadequate. Obviously, an infrastructure that does not serve its purpose is not particularly useful. Going forward, we will be installing IT-supported processing and control systems in the relevant areas that interact seamlessly with our workflows. We'll be introducing IT systems that make it possible to track individual events more efficiently and with greater transparency. At the same time, that reduces dependence on individual persons when identifying and possibly escalating problematic events. That means we should be better equipped to identify malfunctions in good time and nip negative developments in the bud. To sum up, the investigation by the Internal Audit Department delivered valuable findings for us to create a framework at Volkswagen where breaches of rules like those we found in one area of the group are not encouraged but prevented or at least recognized early on. Ladies and gentlemen, as I already mentioned, the external investigators from Jones Day are also making good progress, but still need more time. In order to arrive at meaningful conclusions on accountability, they have to systematically plow their way through enormous volumes of data. That includes, for instance, innumerable emails, each one on its own is just a loose end in the chain of communication where the context first has to be established. So you can imagine how fragmented and complex this forensic work is. Now, to illustrate my point, here are some figures. So far, the specialists have sorted through 102 terabytes of data. That is the equivalent of roughly 50 million books. 87 extensive interviews have been conducted to date in order to obtain the necessary information, and many more will follow. More than 1,500 electronic storage mediums, such as smartphones and laptops, have been secured from almost 400 employees. Around 2,000 group employees were informed in writing that they have to make sure that they do not lose any data. The English term is litigation hold. Now, I'm not saying that all of these people are under suspicion. What it means is that on their computers, SIM cards or USB sticks, there could be information that might be important for understanding the circumstances better. We still believe that only a comparatively small number of employees was actually actively involved in the manipulations. What we have learned From the material that has been reviewed so far is first, we have a better understanding of the CO2 issue and how to achieve a swift solution, and second, we're better able to understand the origins and genesis of the NOx issue.
Auf den beiden folgenden Seiten der Präsentation
The next two charts present the NOx issue in greater detail, beginning with the strategic decision to launch a major diesel campaign in the USA. I would simply like to give you a brief summary. The key finding is that we are not talking about a one-off mistake, but a whole chain of mistakes that was not interrupted at any point along the timeline. Looking back, we regrettably have to recognize that the developers involved in the EA189 project quite simply could not find a way to meet the tougher NOx limits in the United States by permissible means. Or at least they could not find a way they felt at the time to be meaningful and that fitted the time frame and the budget they had been given. So a software was installed that regulated nitrogen oxide emissions by various means, such as adjusting exhaust gas recirculation levels depending on whether the vehicle was on the road or on a test bench. Later down the line, when effective technical solutions to reduce NOx became available, these solutions were not in fact used as they should have been done, apparently in the mistaken interest of customers. Once again, the engine management software delivered the supposed solution. The software features included the ability to vary the AdBlue dosage level. As a result, NOx levels on the test bench were particularly low, but they were significantly higher on the road. With hindsight, this all sounds almost a little banal, but that is perhaps why we find the whole thing so painful. Not because the decisions were wrong, but also the premises and the priorities on which they were founded. All this goes against the values of Volkswagen and the values by which the vast majority of our 600,000 employees act day in, day out. There are always occasions when there is not an immediate, perfect technical solution to a problem. That is when you have to keep working on the problem, take a frank and open look at conflicting interests, discuss alternatives, and possibly even totally rethink. What's definitely unacceptable is a superficial or even an illegal solution. No business can justify transgressing legal or ethical boundaries. Every single employee at Volkswagen must embrace that creed. We still do not know whether the people who've been involved in this issue from 2005 to the present day were fully aware of the risks they were taking and of the potential damage they could expose the company to. But that's something else we're going to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from the smaller diesel engine, the V6 developed by Audi has also come in for scrutiny in the United States. There is, however, one fundamental difference. The crux of the problem for the Volkswagen EA189 engine is that the vehicle had two different exhaust strategies, one for the road and another one for the test bench. Now, that is not the case for Audi's V6 engine. Based on the same operating conditions, the warm-up strategy and the operating strategy are identical, regardless of whether the vehicle is on the road or on a test bench. The so-called AECDs, which stands for Auxiliary Emission Control Device, in the V6 engine that have come in for criticism in the United States are not currently subject to registration in Europe. However, under valid US legislation, one of these devices could be considered to constitute a forbidden device. Audi will be presenting a technical solution to CARB and EPA and implementing this solution as swiftly as possible once it has been approved. Exactly when this will be the case has yet to be finalized. And I would like to point out that we're talking about some 100,000 units, so the scale is significantly more manageable than the scale of the original diesel issue. The situation with regard to the CO2 issue is entirely different yet again, as regards both the origin and the solution. As I already mentioned, based on the information we had, it appeared that a total of some 800,000 vehicles from various brands and models could have been affected by deliberate, incorrect CO2 measurements. We immediately began systematic testing of the models that might possibly be affected. We also reviewed the measures and standards applied during testing. Our findings: first, the suspicion that the fuel consumption figures of current production vehicles had been unlawfully changed was not confirmed. Second, Volkswagen's measurement procedure conforms to the industry standard and is based and guided by the relevant international standards. And third, the remeasurements established that the actual consumption values for almost all of the current production vehicles are in fact in line with the catalogue figures and correspond to the original CO2 and fuel consumption figures, respectively. The measurement checks only established slight deviations from the catalogue figures amounting to a few grams for 9 vehicle models. DEKRA was commissioned by the industry regulator, KBA, as a technical service provider to perform an independent review for these Volkswagen brand model variants. With an annual production of approximately 36,000 vehicles, these model variants correspond to around only 0.5% of the Volkswagen brand's annual production volume. Based on the findings of this official remeasurement, the CO2 and fuel consumption data will be updated, if necessary, at the earliest possible opportunity in line with the usual processes. It's important to bear in mind that the estimated €2 billion negative impact on earnings initially attributed to the CO2 issue has not been confirmed. That is good news for the Volkswagen Group. We know that the CO2 issue has been a cause of considerable concern for many of our customers. So the latest developments are very good news for them. As things stand at the moment, any impact on tax seems unlikely, and if back taxes should be levied, Volkswagen has already given an undertaking to pay them. Ladies and gentlemen, tracking processes, identifying mistakes and establishing who is responsible, that is only part of the exercise. The other, much more important part looks towards the future. Drawing the right conclusions from past mistakes and taking all the measures necessary to prevent something like this from ever happening again. We have already begun to put this part into practice too. Let me begin with the most important of these landmark decisions for Volkswagen. We have decided that our emissions tests will in future be verified by external and independent third parties. We will also be introducing universal on-road emissions measurements during real-life driving. We hope that will help us to win back trust. I would like to make one comment at this point. When it comes to thresholds, we need the courage to be more honest. The growing industry-wide discrepancies between official emissions data and real-life levels are no longer acceptable. We need to break new ground here. Implementation of more measures out of the 30 or so measures identified by internal auditing is already underway. All the findings from the internal audit will be submitted to Jones Day and therefore help clarify who is responsible. And finally, As far as responsibility is concerned, the first step was to suspend 9 managers possibly involved in the manipulations. I do not intend to speculate on whether there will be further personnel consequences, and if so, what they could be. But I can guarantee that we will take this relentless clarification to its final conclusion. This is the foundation for the renewal of the Volkswagen Group, which has already begun. I am committed to this. The entire supervisory board of Volkswagen AG is committed to this. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Matthias Müller.
Vielen Dank, Herr Pötsch, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pötsch, ladies and gentlemen. Clarification is indeed a key building block for the task that lies ahead of us. And it is something that my entire board of management team and I myself have committed to. Because if we draw the right conclusions from past mistakes, Volkswagen will only be a better company, truly, and this is what we're working towards, and we're determined to restore Volkswagen's excellent reputation. And we will do so. We will, and we want to lead this great company into a better future. There are many facets to this task. You may recall that I presented a 5-point plan for the realignment of the group back at the end of October. And for me, all the 5 priorities are equally important. The first priority on this list is to provide effective technical solutions for our customers. And of course, our customers also want to know how these manipulations came about, and more particularly, and rightly so, they want us to put their vehicles to rights as quickly as possible, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, then Mr. Pötsch has already talked at length about the second priority, establishing the truth, and obviously it has very high importance for us in the Board of Management. And that is why we have done everything in our power to make sure that internal auditing could really work as independently as possible. And let me also add one more point. When in early November we uncovered implausibilities in CO2 data for some vehicle models, well, that certainly did not make any situation any easier. The fact that this was uncovered by our own investigations and that we went public at a very early stage, that also demonstrates that we are absolutely determined to engage in this process of what we call clarification and transparency. May I also make one more comment here at this point. As we have announced yesterday, we have assigned operational responsibility for the full clarification of the diesel issue to my colleague Francisco Javier Garcia Sanz. So, it is in very good hands indeed. At the same time, by appointing a group board member for this task, we are actually documenting how important it is for us that we make progress swiftly. Points number 3 to 5 on my list of priorities all relate to the fundamental realignment of the group that we have already initiated. We're renewing our structures, we're renewing our mindset, and the way we do things. And we're also redefining our targets. In other words, we're evolving our strategy for the next 10 years. These 5 points also have a double message to them. We're doing everything we can to overcome the present situation. But we will not allow this crisis to paralyze us. Quite on the contrary, we are using it as a catalyst for change that Volkswagen needs. For me, it's important to make clear that this 5-point plan is not a declaration of intent. It sets the guidepost for our actions. It is truly our agenda. It's our yardstick, if you will. That holds true for Volkswagen, but this is also true for me personally. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pötsch has already set out the details of how we're putting our words into action. as far as we're getting to the bottom of events. Now, in the following, what I'd like to do is to explain to you how we're working on all of the other issues with the same intensity. Let me therefore begin with an outline of the technical solution for our customers, who are truly at the center of everything we do at Volkswagen. For all the three European variants of the EA 189 engine, we now have robust solutions. And we have also received the all-clear for all of these solutions by the KBA, the Federal Motor Transport Authority. In other words, that means that we can make sure that all of the models affected in Europe will have one and the same emission strategy on both the test bed and in real-life driving. And of course, they naturally also comply with all emission legislation. Also, the outlay for implementing this solution in terms of technology, in terms of workshop time, is financially manageable. May I also take a moment to thank our engineers who have quite literally been working day and night for weeks now. And on behalf of the entire Board of Management, and also in my own name, I would like to express our thanks and our appreciation of their work. Now, just a quick word about these solutions themselves. The 2-litre TDI and the 1.2-litre TDI only need a software update. For the 1.6-litre TDI, a flow transformer will also be fitted in front of what is called the air mass sensor. This flow transformer improves the measuring accuracy, and then when combined with a software update, it optimizes the injection volume of fuel injected, and that is a factor that has a significant impact also on the production of nitrogen oxides. Now, you and your colleagues have written much about this solution and the what is called mesh it involves. And we keep on hearing the same question. Well, if the solution is so simple and inexpensive into the bargain, why are you only fitting it now? The answer is just as simple. First of all, this technology was not available at the time when the A189 was developed. And second, a retrofit wasn't on the agenda until quite recently because no one knew that there was a problem with the EA 189. So, now that all the solutions for Europe are on the table, we can get to work putting them into practice. We are beginning now next month with the recall of the 2-litre TDI, which is the variant that has the highest number of vehicles affected. And the recall for the 1.2-litre TDI is scheduled to start in the second quarter of next year, and then the implementation phase for the 1.6-litre models is planned for the third quarter of next year. Now, this is the last model we recalled because we need an appropriate lead time for sourcing and producing the hardware that we require. As plans stand now, the entire campaign will take the whole of next year. Now, the recall obviously poses an enormous logistical challenge, but our aim is still to have completed the retrofits by the end of the year, if possible. By the way, can I remind everyone that owners do not have to contact us. Each owner will be informed whenever their vehicle will be called for the update, so they will receive that information directly. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in the United States is unfortunately more complicated than it is in Europe. That is in part due to the much tighter nitrogen oxide levels on the other side of the Atlantic. So, retrofitting the vehicles there to meet all valid emissions limits is quite simply a much bigger technical challenge. We are in a constant and intensive dialogue with both US agencies, the EPA and CARB, and we believe we have made significant progress in the recent weeks. But I trust you will understand that we can only announce our solution concepts for North America once these have been fully and finally coordinated also with the responsible authorities there. And this applies for the 3 generations of the TDI engine developed by Volkswagen, but it's also true for the V6 engine developed by Audi. Our customers in the US and Canada may rest assured that we will do everything we can to find technical solutions to fix the V6 engine as well, and that we will do this as swiftly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, all our efforts to resolve the whole emissions issue are guided by one clear principle. There is to be as little inconvenience as possible to our customers, and this is what we guarantee to all of our customers. The technical solutions will, of course, be implemented free of charge. We waive any statute of limitation for the technical solution. If needed, we will provide appropriate substitute mobility, and we will also ensure transparent information for our customers at all times. I'll give you my word. Volkswagen will not rest until we have resolved this issue once and for all to the satisfaction of our customers. Ladies and gentlemen, at the same time as the clarification process is progressing, we are also implementing the optimal solutions for customers. We are driving also the reorientation of the group resolutely forward. To avoid any misunderstandings here, I would like to make it clear that this realignment was on the cards sooner or later anyway. Because the environment for our industry is rapidly changing, because we need new answers to new questions. But now we are speeding up this process. We are doing so as a result of the pressure of current events, of course, but also because there has never been a greater willingness in our group for change than there is at present. So even though this might sound like a cliché, this crisis is most definitely also an opportunity for Volkswagen, and we intend to seize that opportunity truly. The transformation we are seeking is quite fundamental. It affects the group structures, mindset, also something that is commonly referred to as corporate culture, and it affects the strategic targets that we set ourselves for the future. Now, does that mean everything at Volkswagen was bad in the past? No. It most definitely does not, because if that were the case, our brands and vehicles would not be so popular all over the world. The sense of solidarity among our workforce would not be the same, and we would not be in such a strong economic position. But it is precisely because things should stay that way, there has to be change. We presented an outline of our structure to you back at the end of September, and the starting point is the idea that a company of our size, our international dimension, our complexity, can simply not be managed according to yesterday's structures, particularly not in an environment like ours, which is changing so rapidly. There's new technologies, new competitors, new environmental challenges, and new customer needs. Volkswagen needs to align itself even more systematically to these developments. And I'm convinced that what we need now is for Volkswagen to truly embrace corporate responsibility from within. That is why the group will be decentralized to a greater extent. Decisions must be taken at the level where they're most meaningful. You know, in the world of politics, that is called subsidiarity. And we intend to adopt precisely this principle for ourselves. So, in specific terms, it means that our brands and regions are being given more autonomy and responsibility for their business. The Group Board of Management no longer gets involved in operational fine-tuning. Instead, it will concentrate on its own core tasks, namely to drive forward the major overarching issues, to focus on synergies, on steering and strategy. That will also impact how we approach the technological changes that have such a massive effect on our business model. But first and foremost, I'm talking here about electrification and the digital transformation. Now, our mission, my mission, is not to engage in a race to catch up, but to proactively shape these developments. To do that, we must become more agile, more flexible, and we speed up our decision-making trajectories. Another goal of the new leadership model is we must become leaner and improve our cost efficiency. Now, one lever for that is to make the very best of leveraging the synergy potentials that this group undoubtedly has to offer. So here I believe there's definitely room for improvement. Many of you may have asked in recent years whether meaningful management of this fast-growing global group is actually possible. And that is also something I am addressing here. All of these structural changes aim to reduce the complexity of steering functions and ensure the sustainable manageability of Volkswagen. Ladies and gentlemen, we can achieve that with the leadership structure you can see on this chart. There will be no longer a sales or a research and development and a production function at Group Board of Management level. But that does not mean, of course, that these tasks are no longer performed. But there will be a new function in the very capable hands of Ms. Hohmann-Denhardt, namely integrity and legal affairs. This is a clear sign that much higher priority will be given to this issue in the future. And that is obviously true, particularly in the light of recent events. But our most valuable currency is not unit sales or operating profit. Our most valuable currency is credibility and trust in our brands, in our products, and in the people who work for this company. As we recently painfully discovered, unethical or illegal behavior destroys that trust. We have no intention of repeating that experience. On the right-hand side of the chart, you can see the brand groups for Audi and the luxurious sports cars. Here, we're bringing together what belongs together. We will leverage greater synergies through closer cooperation in the brand groups, just we were already doing in the truck and bus unit. China, as a region, will have its own group board member because of the crucial importance of this market for our company. Now, of course, this chart only provides a rough outline. It does not present the details and the underlying principles. Take my own function, for example. We are cutting the number of direct reports to the CEO from more than 30 to 19. So as a result, I will be able to concentrate more closely on the essentials. That includes digitization in particular. If you will, that's a topic for the boss. Obviously, I might be working on digitization on my own. You are aware, of course, that we've recruited Johann Jungwirth, an acknowledged expert and one of the few cross-border commuters who travel back and forth across the boundaries between the classical automotive business and the digital world of Silicon Valley. And we need people like that to successfully master the digital transformation. And something you can only guess from the structure chart as well is the scale of the staff reorganization that has already taken place in the group in recent months, and that we have accelerated over the last 4 weeks. Now, that not only applies for the Group Board of Management, as Mr. Pötsch has pointed out, but also for large sections of top management. I have put together the most important changes here in this chart for you, and I believe the facts really speak for themselves. Since the beginning of 2015, there have been 6 out of 10 new appointments to the Group Board of Management. 7 of our brands have new CEOs, and at the level of the Brand Board of Management, there have been a total of 12 new appointments. And I have 7 new colleagues heading departments in my own function on the CEO level. And these will be our colleagues that have been added to the organization. So, the team to tackle the challenge of the coming months and years is now in place. We will be working out the details of the new structure with this team in the first quarter of 2016. Or, to be more precise, we will be defining processes, appointing committee members and realigning the committees themselves, as well as setting out the details of the relationship between the group and the brands and the regions. The entire group will then be fully integrated in the new structure by the beginning of 2017. But that will not be enough to bring about the transformation we need. We can have the greatest minds and the best organization, but that is all in vain if we don't have the right mindset and the right mentality. So, when we talk about a new mindset, it is worth remembering that the Volkswagen Group has many strengths that we can build on, and that indeed we want to preserve. Our deep-rooted quest for quality, the way our employees identify with our vehicles, the strong sense also of social responsibility that Volkswagen has always stood for. At the same time, that some ways of thinking that I do not condone have also taken root here. Hierarchical thinking, departmental and brand egoism, covering up conflicts of interest or flaws, well, we must put all that behind us. Instead, I would like to see more open discussion, arguments too, if that is what is needed to move forward. And I want to see better cooperation in our group. My aim is for us also to adopt a different approach, a constructive approach to mistakes in the future. Each one of us must take one thing on board. Mistakes are allowed, provided we understand them as an opportunity for learning. To achieve that, Volkswagen does not need yay-sayers, but rather managers and technicians who fight for their convictions, fight for their projects with good arguments, who have an entrepreneurial mindset and an entrepreneurial approach. So my appeal, therefore, is directed at the inquisitive, at the unconventional, at the pioneers, people who dare to follow their instinct, who are not put off merely by the thought of the possible consequences of potential failure, now more than ever. So, in a nutshell, the future at Volkswagen belongs to the brave. You could say that we need a bit more of Silicon Valley, coupled with our competence of Wolfsburg, Ingolstadt, Stuttgart, and the other group locations. Obviously, the crucial question then is, how do we bring this new spirit into a group with 600,000 employees across the globe? But my answer is pretty pragmatic. Just do it. First, as the management team, it's our job to get on with it. Change can and change will only come about if we live this new openness from within, if we nurture, if we foster this new culture of mistakes and this new willingness for cooperation between the board and management. Second, we must breathe life into this new identity to make it tangible, both inside the company and externally. That calls for clear signals. Just doing the talking is not enough. We have to produce hard evidence that we have our feet firmly planted on the ground. And third, we must create new structures and platforms that specifically encourage this new collaborative exchange between our employees, and in particular between employees and management. Over the past 2.5 months, we have already launched quite specific initiatives and measures that clearly demonstrate where we are headed. One example is our new open door policy. An office door that is open means open interaction. We want to encourage our employees to do the same. In any event, my door is always wide open. Another example is reforming our air services. It's true, a group like ours needs an efficient air service. But let us be honest, Volkswagen does not need its own Airbus, and this is why we will be selling the aircraft. And that also is part and parcel of the number of employees that travel the world. Many of our commissions and committees abroad were overstaffed, and if we streamline there, we need fewer people to travel by air. So, greater humility would also do as well at motor shows. I'm sure our products themselves can do all the convincing that is necessary, so they speak for themselves and convince also our customers. Now, here's another lever. We've begun streamlining our corporate committees and other bodies. I cannot allow dozens of highly paid experts to spend more time sitting on steering committees than working on key vehicle projects together with their own teams. Ladies and gentlemen, I sense the wish among the entire team to discover the wholehearted pride in their company, in our company. This is the best prerequisite for genuine, for sustainable change, such as that we are seeking to bring about now. As I've already indicated, this change also includes redefining our targets. In other words, it also embraces our strategy. 8 years ago, we sent a very strong signal with our Strategy 2018, a signal to the automotive world, but above all, to our employees. Now, in terms of the key targets of our Strategy 2018, we were making good progress. And our Future Tracks program has already laid important foundations for a more sustainable future and greater efficiency. And we are now building on all of that. In the first step, we have defined 3 strategic focus topics for the group: digitization, sustainability, and integrity. We will now be bringing these topics to life step by step with the projects. Among other things, we are currently planning a group-wide digitization campaign and a massive expansion of our electric fleet of vehicles with 20 additional electric cars and plug-in hybrids by 2020. So we will be ready to announce details soon. So we can say we are realigning Volkswagen now in terms of strategy and technology. We are delighted to welcome Thomas Sedran, who is one of the most respected managers in the auto industry, to help us do that. He will be spearheading the strategy process as it is driven forward. So, when we present our new Strategy 2025 in the middle of 2016, as announced, you will find the answers to questions such as how we intend to make the product portfolio of our brands even more forward-looking, even more profitable, how we can significantly increase our revenues outside the current core business, for example, through intelligent mobility services, or how we can utilize the digitization potential better than existing and also new competitors, or how we can offer piloted driving on a wider scale earlier than other manufacturers do, or how we can repair our damaged reputation for sustainability, for example with the e-campaign that I've just mentioned a moment ago, and also by integrating sustainability issues in our core business strategy. So, as you can see, we have not given up our claim to leadership in our industry, but we have given this claim a different definition. Our goal is to proactively shape the future of mobility with courage and determination. We will have to pull out all the stops to do that, but we most definitely have the potential. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to finish by summing up where we stand in overcoming the present crisis and realigning the Volkswagen Group. We're working hard on all of the 5 points we have set ourselves, and we are making good progress. We've made significant progress with point number 1, i.e. helping our customers affected by the emissions issue as swiftly as possible. The technical solutions are in place, but at least for Europe, and thus for the lion's share of the vehicles affected. Implementation of these solutions will begin in a few weeks. Point 2 on the list, clarification, is also progressing, and we have already drawn far-reaching conclusions for the future. This clarification process will take some time. Incidentally, a comparison with similar cases in other companies, say, show that we are within the usual time frame. We're also moving forward fast with a third point, implementing the new structure. The team for the future is in place. Committees and processes will follow over the coming months. Well, it will take longer to firmly enshrine a new mindset in our group. We can have no illusions about that. But we're not wasting any time here either. And one thing I find particularly pleasing in many discussions and everyday situations, there is now a sense that people at Volkswagen are seizing the opportunities that new mindset brings. And they're setting out on this new path. And work on the fifth and final point, which is Strategy 2025, will be completed by mid-2016. I'm confident we will be presenting you with a very convincing concept. At the same time as we are addressing all these issues, we are of course also working very hard on day-to-day operations, and that is at present a particularly challenging task. Where does the Volkswagen Group stand economically today? Naturally, there has been plenty of print and speculation about the impact the crisis has had or could still have on our business. And we are watching that very closely, as you can imagine. But the big question is how our customers will react. Obviously, a scandal of this scale is bound to have repercussions. But experience from comparable cases also shows that deliveries, following a severe crisis, recover relatively quickly if, and this truly is the critical factor, if customer relations management is appropriate in the given situation. We're doing everything we can to guarantee that and to limit the fallout. So far, the positive news is that the massive slump that some feared earlier has not occurred. Our operational business is still in line with expectations. So today, 2.5 months after the crisis broke, we do not see any reason to change the adjusted annual forecast we issued at the end of October. At the same time, the picture for markets and brands is very mixed. Overall, the situation is certainly not dramatic, but as expected, it is tense. To put it plainly, we are fighting for every customer and for every car. Brand sales managers have launched measures to stabilize the situation. And if we succeed, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we do, then the impact on production will be within reasonable limits. If, however, despite all our efforts, that is not the case, we are in a position to respond appropriately at any time. As you're already aware, we have taken the first step with regard to investments. We have capped investments in property, plant and equipment at 12 billion euros for 2016. Now that is 1 billion down on the average of previous years. But at the same time, we've also shortened the planning horizon by 1 year. So we're not planning too far ahead. One thing, though, is clear. Anything that is not absolutely necessary now will be cancelled or postponed. And we will definitely not be economizing on our future. And we're looking after our money because we cannot exactly estimate the financial consequences of the crisis. As you know, we've already made certain provisions. We are fortunate that Volkswagen has a very solid financial basis indeed. And we have also concluded additional credit lines to cover all contingencies. It's gratifying to note that our discussions have shown that Volkswagen's good reputation on the capital markets is still intact. And the most recent developments in our share price are also encouraging. Over the past 2 months, shares have recovered by around 40% from the low immediately following the outbreak of the crisis. Now we see that as a sign that investor confidence is returning. Obviously, people believe we have the situation under control and can master the crisis with our own resources. And it will not come as a surprise to you that we see things pretty much